Well, following the recession, many companies are in transitions, but are they doing transitions in the way that's right for the company and for the employees? Joining us now with some tips on how it can be done well, Mary Abbajay, partner at Careerstone Group. Mary, as always, thanks for joining us.
So great to see you, Rebecca.
You've got 6 common mistakes that leadership often makes during major change initiatives. We're going to post on our website a link to your website so that people can read thoroughly through all 6, because I think each of them deserve a lot of consideration. But let's start with mistake number 1. You say too many managers, surprisingly, are not directly involved with the transition project.
They're not directly involved, and this is a key mistake. If you are a leader, leaders and managers have to be directly involved with the change initiative from start to finish. And this really means taking personal responsibility that the change efforts stay on track. It does not mean throwing it over the transom to someone else. Stay personally involved and committed.
An easy mistake for managers to make, because it's something that wash your hands of it, let somebody else fix it, but you say that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, well, it keeps me working, right? This is why I have a job. So
good point by that. Well, another thing that you point out is that if you really want to convince employees to move with you and change with you, you've got to sell them what the problem is. And a lot of managers are afraid to even admit that there is a problem necessitating the change.
It is such a huge common mistake. You have to sell the problem. This means creating a compelling case for change. Why we have to change, and why we have to change now, and what's going to happen if we don't change. All too often we sell the vision, which is great. People need the vision, but the problem really provides the emotional energy and commitment and alignment for why we need to change. Sell the problem.
So when I read that, though, I had to think to myself, what would Mary think? Is it okay for a manager to say, look, change, this is going to be hard for all of us?
Absolutely.
It is. It doesn't show weakness from a manager.
It doesn't show weakness. And so a lot of times leaders don't want to sell the problem because they don't want to admit that there is a problem. And why are people going to change if there's no problem? People don't like to leave their comfort zone unless they're pushed a little bit. I
got to tell you, as an employee, I love honesty. I have a boss who is totally honest and upfront, and I appreciate it. And you say that that's another problem, that too often you're not including the employees in information about the change.
Communication is key in times of change. And if leaders remember one thing from this interview, is you have to communicate. And this means communicating consistently throughout the entire change process. Communicate about the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, the how of change, and keep it moving. And all leaders and all managers have to be sending the same message. If you do just that, you're going to be so far ahead of the game.
I'm big on inclusiveness. It really drives me nuts when managers have the attitude of, we'll let you know when you need to know, and then they try and parcel out bits and pieces of information to certain groups. I feel like it totally undermines the whole team effort.
It completely undermines the team effort, and it undermines the change effort. And a lot of times leaders will think, oh, I've said it once, so they should know it. You have to say it over and over and over again.
Well, and if you say it at one meeting and not everyone was able to attend because they were on the road or doing some kind of work that necessitated being
I've had leaders that have done complete restructuring, and they've said, well, I sent out an email. Okay, good job.
That's reassuring.
Here's my bill.
And then also you say, and we're going to put the full list because we're not going to get to all of them, but one of the big ones you say, not only be consistent in the message, but be consistent in the transition. Don't change priorities throughout the whole process.
And we see this all the time. You have to stay engaged and committed and interested in the initiative from start to finish. The minute you as a leader lose commitment, passion, or interest, guess what? So will your employees.
And guess what? Our producer says we have to stay on time.
All right.
Mary Abbajay, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. More on our website.